folks. We are going to get started in just a second. You're going to see, as you can tell, the PowerPoint's a little dim to the eye, and if possible, I'd like to get it so that's a little more clear. But if not, we will continue anyway. I just had to add a little more personality to my presentation. I think that looks a bit better. It's still kind of dim, but at least now it's legible. Okay, well, thank you. Alrighty then, well, it is 3:31, so we might as well go ahead and get started. This is the Victorian Japan panel. If that's not the panel you want, now is your chance to escape. But if you're here, welcome. And, well, pretty much when I say Victorian Japan, a lot of people are like, oh, well, when is that? It actually has a specific name in Japanese history. This is known as the Meiji period, which is specifically from 1868 to 1912. And the reason I call this Victorian Japan instead of Meiji Japan is a lot of people know about the Victorian era and less know about the Meiji era. So at least when I say Victorian, you have a rough idea of what time period we're going to get. So we will be discussing the Meiji period, which is from 1868 to about 1912. I will also briefly go over the Taisho period, which is about the 20 years after this that led up to World War II. And though one thing that I want to give a note of before we get started is that I actually have a sign-up sheet down here at the front, and if you wish to get a copy of this presentation, if you sign up down there, I will send the presentation to you after the show. So if this is of interest to you, you can sign up with your email, and I'll send this to you. And also, so now let's continue on to Victorian Japan. So before we go too much into it, who am I and what right do I have to talk about this? Well, for one thing is I studied the Meiji period extensively for my research for a historical novel that I'm writing that you see right up there. It's a little hard to see in the dimness, but it's pretty much called Meiji Mysteries, and it's set in the exact era. 1878 is when the story is set, which is exactly right when the Meiji period is beginning. So I've had to do a lot of research of what led up to that. What is this stuff that relates to the world that is in this story? And with that research, I said, well, might as well make a panel about it as well and see how I can share that information, because a lot of what happened around this time era greatly affects anime and manga that we know today. A lot of it was influenced around this time period. Another thing that I did was I actually studied abroad in Japan a few years ago, and one of the highlights of my trip was in a town called Nagoya. You see the far right column over there? They actually have what's known as the Meiji Museum. And this is an open-air museum where they actually transported buildings, like full-fledged buildings, from their original locations to this open-air museum that you can walk inside. They have a whole lot of the history there. And it was an amazing experience. And if you are ever in Japan and you are interested in the Meiji period, I highly recommend going there. And as for where Nagoya is located, it's roughly the halfway point between Tokyo and Osaka. Though one little disclaimer, though, that I want to mention before we get there, even though I did study the Meiji period a lot, I am not an expert, as in I don't have a PhD in it, I don't have a master's in it, or even a bachelor's. I pretty much studied this all on my own. I was looking up on the internet some articles, also doing research of books and stuff. But I'm not going to say, oh yes, I am the final expert when it comes to this time period. That's not the case. So chances are you may know something that I don't, or I'm pretty sure most of the information I have in here is correct, and nobody has corrected me thus far. But if you're like, wait, that's not right, feel free to let me know, and I will happily update it. And let's go ahead and get going. So we'll briefly go over a brief history of this time period, and then kind of go over how it affects anime and manga, plus some anime and manga that are actually set in this very interesting time period. So before we get too far in, a lot of people wonder, it's like, well, how has the Meiji period affected anime? And as you can see right here, quite a bit. A lot of the sailor uniform that we have, like Sailor Moon, all the Japanese high school girl uniform, that was directly inspired by the British sailor uniform of the time period. And the reason, and at that time, the Japanese and the British had a very close relationship, and so they were trying to take what they considered the good ideas of that nation, and they decided, yeah, that uniform for the sailors there, that'll be perfect for our schoolgirls. And if you see like the male uniforms, one that's kind of like that more military one, not the blazer and the jacket, but more kind of just the, I forget what they call it exactly, but that one's inspired by like the German and Prussian military uniforms. A lot of military uniforms were inspired for the school uniforms. Before we go too deeply into the history of Japan, I want to give you sort of a brief overview of Japanese